Hello, my friends. Today's date is February the 20th, and this is a reading for you if this is your birth date. This is a reading for the year to follow. It is a four-card reading. The first card is a general energy card, something that might sustain through the year or something that might come in to chop it awake in some form. The next one is a challenge, a particular challenge that you would have this year somewhere or somehow. Another card is then the action you take to stay in balance, and then the final card is a synopsis or mile marker or some indicator kind of card. We'll talk about that. This is the general energy card of the year, the one. Oof. The one is that rare, I think, moments. They talk about those rare moments where we recognize on some mystical and yet physical level our unimportance as well as our importance in the scheme of life, in the scheme of things, that we are deeply connected to this flow of beingness that that it basically comes down and creates, uses this shell of a body, comes in as a spirit and puts on the shell of a body and forms its life through what it's given to understand itself through its family, its culture, its clan, but yet it's still the same spirit as in each one of us, every one of us. But we've all come into this body and have all these influences that talk to us about what we should believe and what we can be and how we can do, and we enact our own personal path to define ourselves. At the same time, we're always this consciousness of light. We're always this brilliance of being, this sacred energy, this chi, this power of being that is inside, looking out through these eyes, and that energy will, when this body is left behind, that energy will move up and move out, into all space and time and dimensions, and become part of the everyday consciousness as well as the sublime consciousness. So that is the one. This is a year of feeling that in some way. How that comes to you, that's up to life and karma and breath and openness, I think, on lots of levels. But there's that possibility of recognition of importance and unimportance, and it's done through service, it's done through love, it's done through a fluid connection to beingness, and I think a great to surrender to what comes next, and not holding on and learning how to lose definitions that keep one in a box, and how to expand oneself into the ever expanding consciousness of the one, the whole consciousness. So it's a letting go and a surrender, I would say, primarily. And this is your particular challenge, King of Swords. Um, you're being asked to let go. Kings are often, at the top of their game, have created something that they really um, have learned through, have understood life through, have seen life through, have gone through all the the steps, initiations into whatever it is they've, in this particular land, it's King of Swords. So whatever you studied, whatever you have wanted to learn as information, as knowledge, you have come to a place on some level that that's done. What you have studied is done, and you have been satisfied, and should and can be in celebration, but yet honestly that you need to look at something else and for something else, and give yourself the power to surrender and move on and let go and not hold on to the glory or the power or the fame or the money that might or the relationships that might have been attached to a particular path that you have taken to create your definition in the world. But yet, that sacred one spirit is inside of you. And if you look to that sacred one spirit that says, allow me to move on with my life to what is the next important thing in my life, and to not hold on to the past, and not hold myself down from living my life and becoming my most authentic being. So, but that's your challenge, is to let go of something. So, the other side of that is, the king is either often a benevolent king who lets others shine, or someone who's stronger and may take advantage of somebody else. So there's that question you have to ask yourself as you are going through your process of either holding on or letting go. Are you not allowing other people to shine as much as they need to shine? Are you holding some kind of resentment, or some kind of distance, or some kind of negativity towards somebody else who also is that sacred spirit inside of them that comes into experience life just like you, that they're connected to the one and you're connected to the one? So maybe there's a sense of this is your action to take the jaguar: impeccability and equity and integrity. I think they give a lot of power to the jaguar. I think it's the Aztec religion where jaguar medicine, the jaguars come down to clean the souls of those who have done wrong and not held their integrity, and have vacated their senses of truth, and have chosen to serve themselves and not to serve the people. So this is really about service to the people, and it's about holding your integrity of beliefs and living through them and living honestly with them, and becoming one. Whatever you think the one is, and whatever you think the quote laws and the duties of the one are, that's what you are really asked to remember to do, is to be integral to how you wish to be treated in the world, and treat others that way. A beautiful statement that is attached to every religion. Love your neighbors, love your enemies, love yourself as you wish to love others as you wish to love yourself. There's a lot of holding yourself up with power and pride, and yet humility and compassion, and recognition of everybody needs to go through whatever everybody needs to go through in order to find their path and recognize their own power and worth along the way, and live their authenticity as they enact the spiritual oneness coming down and looking out through the eyes of this mask that we put on, this body that we put on, that is not a real body, because this body is going to go back down into the earth and be the next food for the next generations of beings to come forward. But this shell gets dropped, and what's left is the consciousness that looks out of the eyes of this being. So there's a surrender that is needed to the shell of the being. That's called death. There's a surrender needed to experiencing the things that you need to experience to grow. There's a surrender needed to let go of the things that you become attached to, because you're ultimately going to need to let go of them anyways. This body will not be able to take with it the money or the juice or the power or the fame. Fame may last for a while, but fame often goes, unless you're a really special and rare person whose fame continues. But even hundreds of thousands of years, nobody remembers anybody from back then. So Surrender, let go, let change. Hold your power, hold your integrity, hold your impeccability. What words you give as your truth are the words you should be held to. And remember that that power that you hold with living according to the words and the honor and the integrity that you wish to live by, and that is that connection to the one. That is that connection to the server. That is the connection to the river of life. That is the connection to the bigger essential spirit of the oneness of all beings, coming down to experience this play on this plane. Hallelujah. Blessed be.